Hello friends, a very warm welcome to Coding Techniques again. Today we are going to learn a very interesting thing which is about the RXJS observable. We are going to implement the state management of our application using the RxJS. So many of you have commented me regarding to make a video on this topic. So here I come with this particular video for you guys. So I hope you like this video, within which I'm going to show you two different methods of doing this stuff, which will be very interesting. So without wasting any more time, let's dive into this video right now. So in this video, like I already said, I'm going to teach you about RxJS state management using services. So I have already created a new project using the command. Let me just type out here, Ionic start, alright, then the app name, okay, then what type of design do you want by default. I have selected tabs this time, and then dash type equals to Angular. So that is what I have given to create this application. Alright, now once that is done, you can see that the application is created and I'm using Ionic Serve to run this, and it is running out here pretty nicely. Now how exactly I'm going to teach you about RxJS, what changes we can see, and why I have created this tabs one. Let me explain you. Because in the tab one, I will create a design where I will create an input box and a button to add something within a list. And where this list will show up? Well, whenever I'm adding something out here in tab 1, I will show the list in tab 2 and tab 3. By using the declarative and imperative programming, I'll explain you what are all those by examples, so you don't need to worry about that. So I hope you are excited about learning this stuff. Let's get started with this stuff now. So first of all, let me do one thing. I'll create a service out here. So Ionic G service. Let me create a services folder, and within that, the service name that I'm going to have out here, let me name it as list service. Within the list folder, I'm going to create the list service in this particular manner. You can see this services folder is created, and within that we have the list folder. Then within that we have the list service. That's what I need. Now at first out here, what am I going to have? Well, I need to create a list, right? So the list will be created by default, but the changes that needs to be done will be done out here. So what I'll do, I'll create a private, I'll have a list where I'll give a dollar symbol because that defines the observable and to make it unique. And I can give an underscore also just to make it unique, okay? Doesn't make any difference. That will be equals to new behavior subject. Let me give of type any, and it will also take a default value. Let me pass null. Okay, now instead of behavior subject, you can also use subject, but out there you cannot pass a default value out here. Okay, so that is the difference between the two. So this is created. Now why I have given it as private? Because I don't want it to access from the pages directly. If you are injecting this service anywhere in the pages, then you can access this directly if I don't give it as private. Okay, because I don't want its value to be changed everywhere. Only in this particular service you can change this value. Fine. Now I will use a getter out here. Okay, so getter and setter, I hope you know. If you don't know, let me tell you. Let me first have this up. So I'll just create a getter in this particular manner, and where I'm going to give this dot underscore list dollar dot as observable. So I'm just returning this particular observable in the getter. Let me just have the return. Fine. So this is what I'm going to return. Now what is the meaning of doing this as this gate symbol? If I don't give this gate symbol, okay, if I just remove this, then also it's fine. But if you want to call this anywhere in your pages, then you have to pass something like this dot say like list dollar function, okay, and then access the subscription or other stuff. But if you give it as gate out here, then instead of doing this, you can simply pass it as a property in this particular manner, dot subscribe. So that is the only difference out here. So basically this means this is used just to get the value of list or whatever you are passing out here. That's the only meaning of it. Fine. I hope you have understood. Okay, now this is ready. This is declared properly. Now what I will do out here, let me create something, add list item. Okay, whenever you want to add to this particular list, you can use this function directly. Okay, so out here I'm just going to show you the adding part, right? So whenever I'm adding something in tab 1, the changes should reflect in tab 2 and tab 3. That is what I want to show you, right? So in the add list item, what I actually need to do, at first I will get the value of this particular list. Okay, so let me just give it of type any array, and initially let me have it to be an empty array. Fine, because this is a list, so I can pass empty array. That is better, I think. Now what I will do, out here I will access the value of it, this dot underscore list dollar dot value. I'll get the value of it at first. Fine, and initialize to a variable called, let me call it list only. Fine, in this particular manner. So I've got the initial value of this particular list observable within this list. Okay, so if there is any item or if there is no item, still I will get an empty one, and if there is any item, then it will be override to that particular value. Okay, now once that is done, I have got the list data. Now I will simply push the new data that I will be getting out here, data. Okay, I will push it, or I will use concat actually. So list equals to list dot concat, and then I will simply pass out here the data. That is what I'm going to do. And finally, once that is done, this dot underscore list dollar dot next, and out here I'm simply going to pass the new list. That is what you can do. Or if you want the latest data to be at the top, then what you can do is, let me just show you. This is one way. Let me show you the other way. Let list equals to an empty array. Fine. Then I will push the data to the list. Once that is done, I will get this particular value and concat that up using, let me just show you, list equals to list dot concat. Concat with what? The value that I will be getting from this particular list. So at the first, I will be getting the latest data, and then I'll be getting the other list option. So that is what you can have if you want the latest data to be at the top. So this is simple, right? Okay, so I've shown you both the methods. So our service is ready. Now what we need to do, let me explain you what I will do. In the tab 1 out here, let me create something. Let me remove all of it within the ion content, and I'll keep it as it is only. Let me have an ion input out here, and I will also have a button. Let's do it within an ion item. I think that will be better. So let me have an ion item at first. Then within that I will have an ion label where I'm going to pass the slot to be fixed, and I will name it as enter name. Fine. Then I will have an ion ion input where the type will be text. Okay. So this is what I'm having out here. You can simply pass something, but well, actually out here I have to pass position, not slot. I just forgot. So now this is working. I can see enter name, and out here you can simply enter any name. Okay. In fact, what I will do out here in this ion item, let me have some margin. So I will pass ion margin. Alright. And once that is done, I will have a button outside of the ion item. So ion button, expand to block, and out here also I will have some margin. Let me give ion margin. Now this is looking nice, correct? Alright, so I'm happy with that. Let me give the name to be add. Fine, so enter the name and it's going to add the data. That's what I'm doing out here. Now let me have an ng model out here so that I can check the change in value of it. So whenever I'm entering the value, I just want the output of that particular value, correct? So for just getting the value, I'll simply use ng model, and out here I'm going to pass a property name which I will create right now, but let me name it as name only. In this particular manner, I will have it out here, name of type string. Okay, and whenever I click on this particular button, what I will do, let me work on that. So whenever you click on it, I will have an add function that I will create out here. Add function which will be used for adding that particular name, right, in the array as an object. So how am I going to do that? Well, let me do one thing. Let me inject out here in the constructor. So private, or let me give public only. Public list or list service, I would say. And I will inject the list service out here in this particular manner. It is imported automatically. Once that is done, let me just remove the space, not needed. What I will do, out here I can directly use this dot list service dot add list item, and out there I simply need to pass the data which is of type any. So I'm going to pass an object out there. So let me create an object at first. Let me do it out here in a different variable. Let me call it data. That will be equals to an object where I'm going to pass name, and whatever this dot name will consist, it will be passed directly. Alright. And I will pass the data directly out here. That's it. So this is what I wanted to do, nothing else. So our functionality is ready. Now it's time to display also, right? Now for displaying it up in tab 2 and tab 3, what I will do, I'll go to tab 2 at first in the TypeScript, and I will inject the list service. So public list service, it is imported, but I need to give the identifier list service in this particular manner. Okay. Now I will also have an array which I'll name it as list of type any array. That will be equals to an empty array at first. Okay. And in the HTML, let me remove all of it. Let me create an ion list. Within that I will have an ion item. In the ion item I'm going to show the ion label. In the ion label I will show that particular name. But for that I need to loop this particular ion item. Alright. So I'll use ng4 for that. Let item of list. Okay. So I will loop the list array, and if there is any, then I'm simply going to show item question mark dot name. Just to be on the safe side, I'm passing a question mark. If this property does not exist, still it will not give me the error. That is why I'm just giving it up. Alright. Now how will I initialize this particular list? Because it is not having the data, and I just want whatever I'm entering out here should display out here, correct? For that, I will be using ng on init. So implements on init, fine. Out here, let me just simply pass ng on init. And in this particular function, let me just remove this void, not needed actually. What am I going to do? I'm going to call this dot list service dot this particular list, okay, the getter, I will call that up, and I'm going to subscribe to that because I want to check the change in it, right? So for that I have to subscribe to it, and within that I will get the data or the list, I would say, okay, list of data, and whatever I get I will simply initialize it to the list array that we have out here. Alright, that is what I'm going to do. And since we are subscribing to something, we have to unsubscribe when the page is destroyed, right? Which is very important, because if you do not follow this process, then what will happen? You will encounter memory leaks in your application, which is not actually good for your application. So that is why you should remove those things which are not in use. Okay, that is why the proper method to do this is what I will do. I will use out here a list sub, just a name that I have given, which is actually of type subscription. Okay, I'll import it up from RXJS. It is imported, correct? Once that is done, I can initialize this value in this particular manner. This dot list sub will be equals to this particular subscription. All right, and in ng on init, in ng on destroy, for that I have to implement or call the interface or inherit the interface on destroy also. Fine, it is imported, and I will use out here ng on destroy, where I'm simply going to check at first if this dot list sub, if it exists, then I'm simply going to unsubscribe it. This dot list sub dot unsubscribe. You can see suggestion was coming up, correct? So this is what the standard method is, and this is actually the declarative programming, where we are declaring everything out here and doing this stuff, okay, which is very important to understand. So quite simple, right? Let me just show you. If I add something out here, let me just load this tab 2 also, otherwise this will not be loaded and the value will always be there, but I just want to show you. Out here we have empty as of now. Now if I enter something, let me just do it. Let me say techniques, okay, hit on add. Let's go to tab 2. We have the item, but we don't see anything out here as of now. Why is that so? Let's check the value out here of the list, what exactly we are getting in the list. This dot list, that's what I'm going to have. All right, now let's check it out once again. Let's see what is the value of this particular list. I'm getting an empty array. The length is 0 because it is reloaded, right? So I'll go to tab 1 again, enter the name, say add only, any name I'm giving. Now I have some data out here, okay? But the name is undefined, okay? That name is not getting triggered. That is the problem. That is why the name is not showing out here. At first I need to get the value of the name. Okay, now out here let me do one thing. Instead of doing it in this particular manner, let me use the, now for using a form out here will be a better option. So I'll be using the Angular form. Let me just use this up, not the reactive form out here. You can use any one of those, that's not a problem. I'll just move this within the form tag. Okay, now out here hashtag f will be the identifier for this particular form, which will be equals to ng form. And for the input, well, I will have few more things out here. Now out here what I have done is I have passed the type to be text and the name to be name. Because we are using form, we have to pass name, and ng model I have passed. Now hashtag name will be equals to ng model, which is needed. Then only we will get the value in the name. Okay, because this is the identifier, so I can use it anywhere I want for calling this up. Okay, then the placeholder, which is not needed actually because I have already given this label. Okay, and it is a required field, that's what I have given out here. Let me just align it properly. Now it is aligned properly. Okay, so now whenever I will click on this add button, what I need to check out here that if this particular form is valid or not. And for that, what I will do, I need to pass out here. Let me just do it out here only. I will pass ng on submit. Within that, I will pass the add function, where in the add function, I will simply pass f, this identifier. Okay. Now from here, I will not have any click event. Instead, I will simply pass the type to be submit. So whenever I click on this particular button, it will submit the form. Okay. Now we are getting an error because I have to pass out here form, that will be ng form. Okay, I need to import it up from at Angular forms. Fine. Once this is done, everything is ready. Now I simply need to check if form.valid is not true. Okay, I'll give this not. Then I simply want to return. Otherwise, you can proceed ahead. That means if you're not entering anything, you cannot proceed ahead. Okay, say like for an example, if I don't type out here something and if I click on the add button, nothing is happening. Out here you won't see any data. Okay, so this functionality won't be triggered. Okay, it is simply going to return. You can even give this toast message out here if you want, but I don't want to do that up. So now this time I will get the value, but not in this particular name. In fact, I will get it from form.value.name directly, because the identifier that we have given, the name is name. That is why I am able to directly call this up. Okay, so now I think this is fine. If I enter anything, it should reflect out there. Let's check it out. So let me just give techniques again. Hit on this add button. Let's check it out here. Okay, still it is not reflecting. Alright, out here actually there is a problem. And the problem is that because of which we are not getting the data, or the function is not getting triggered, is because of this particular button. Now I'm passing this type submit out here, but this button is outside of the form, so it will not get triggered. So I have to pass it within the form in this particular manner. Now if I type anything out here, let me just do it again. Techniques, add it up. Let's check it out here. It is showing up, right? So now this is working properly. If I add one more, let me give Nikhil, hit add. I can check it out here. All right. The latest data is coming at the top. Okay. So this is how actually it is working. One mistake can ruin everything, and take your time. Okay, so we have seen the declarative method by which we can see the list out here. Okay, it's time to check the other one, so which I will implement in the tab 3. So let me just do one thing. From here on, I'll copy this ion content. Okay, and let me give the toolbar color to be primary one, then it will look nice, right? In the tab 3 also, let me give the toolbar color out here to be primary and replace this ion content. Okay, and in the TypeScript, what am I going to do? Definitely I need now the imperative programming, which we are going to implement in tab 3. How this is different? Should I need all the stuff from here? Actually no. Instead what I will do, in the tab 3 I will declare out here the list, which will be of type observable. Okay, out here it will be of type any array. That is what I'm going to have out here. Alright, now what am I going to do? I need the ng on in it because I don't want to do it in constructor. If you want to know the difference between constructor and ng on in it, I've already explained in my complete Ionic course. You can check that out. Okay. Now I will simply use out here ng on in it in this particular manner. Let me have the void, or should I remove it, right? Not needed actually. So simply I will do this dot list will be equals to this dot where I have to inject the service at first. Let me go for public list service, and the identifier also I need to give out here, list service, in this particular manner. Fine. Now I can use this up, list service dot list. Okay, that's what I need to access. That's it. So this will be an observable of type any array, and the type is same for both the cases, right? But what is the difference of doing this stuff? Now I'm setting this particular list as an observable which will hold the array list. Fine. So out here I'm not subscribing to it. In fact, if you want to manipulate some data, you can simply use the pipe and manipulate the data. That data will be passed directly out here. Fine. So you can use the pipe and the mapping one, map function you can use out there for doing that up. But out here I don't need to do anything because I just want to pass the raw data. Whatever I'm making the changes, I just need to pass. Now out here, the benefit of using this imperative is that, imperative programming is that, or the approach, imperative approach I would say, I don't need to subscribe out here. Okay. And if I'm not subscribing, I don't need to unsubscribe also. So if I'm not doing that, how can I get the result whenever there is a change? Well, it will be initialized automatically out here whenever there is a change, and it will appear to show the result as long as there is any change and this particular page is in view or not destroyed. Fine. Now there is an error in tab 3 because this is of type observable and it cannot have the value. If you hover on this error, you can see type observable of any is not assignable to this iterable. So for doing that, I will be using the asynchronous way. I'll use a pipe out here by this symbol and I will use async. Okay, let me just give a space out here. Now you can see the error is gone and everything looks the same, correct? Now let's try it once. So I'll just open up tab 3 also, tab 2 also, and tab 1 also. Now in the tab 1, let me just pass techniques. Let's see what happens. I'll hit on the add button. In the tab 2 it is added. In the tab 3 also it is added. Correct? Now let me add one more stuff. Say Nikhil, add it up. In tab 2 it is added. In tab 3 also it is added. So the data is same, but the approach is different. Right? So that is what I want to explain. Let's try it one more time. Let me give Nikhil new, add it up. It is added out here also, and it is added out here also. So this is actually the state management stuff. As soon as you're using an application, definitely you cannot reload the whole app directly. You can do that by using some functionality. I can explain you up how you can do that up, but which is not needed in an application, correct? So that is why it manages the state of this particular observable that was in the list one. Let me just show you out here. So this is the observable whose state is managed properly throughout the application. You can just call it wherever you want. Even out here also, if you want to change something, you can do that up. But I won't recommend to change the name of the tabs because that won't be proper, because it might change positions. Okay, if you try to change something, I have tried that up. That is why I'm saying that. Okay. But still it comes in very handy in a lot of ways. As you can see out here, as I want to see the changes in tab 3 and tab 2. So I can check this directly, right? The changes are getting reflected pretty easily. There is no harm in doing that up. Okay. And the app is pretty smooth too, because it is hardly taking any seconds time to show the data. So that is what the meaning of using this state management system into our Ionic application, or you can use it in Angular also with the help of this RXJS. I hope you have understood. So I have just explained you the different approaches, the declarative and imperative approaches to this RxJS. Alright, we have seen how to show the same list with two different methods and how to add some data. Alright, and the changes are getting reflected everywhere. Now if you reload the page, it will go away because this is just managing the state in the service, because we are not saving it anywhere. So the changes won't be reflected anywhere. Fine. So I hope you have got a clear idea what exactly RxJS is and how we can manage the state of our application properly with the help of RxJS. Alright. So with this, I'll wrap up this video out here. Thank you very much for watching. If you're new out here, please do subscribe to the channel and I'll see you next time.